Think about this for a second. In a digital world like ours today, where 1,000 pieces of content compete for attention, how do you make sure that the content you have invested your time, creativity, and effort in creating gets to the right people? Because in this time and age, creating content is no longer enough. So you want to ensure that the content you create gets to the right people. But the question is, how do you make sure that happens? And that is exactly what we'll be talking about today. If you're just joining us for the first time, you are welcome to How to Build a Content System from the Very Scratch. This is part 2 of the series. So if you missed out on part 1 of the series where we built 2 layers, the foundation and the content engine, because everything I will be discussing in this particular episode stems from the first episode. So you want to quickly look up the first episode up here before joining this conversation. So the question is, how do I get my content to reach more people? And in today's episode, we'll be looking at 2 layers that make sure that eventually happens, which is the distribution system and the amplification loop. But before we dive right in, if you're meeting me for the very first time, my name is Mary Ikwebu. I'm a marketing strategist, an educator, a consultant, and a creative entrepreneur. In this particular channel, what we do is we help ambitious professionals and founders. We help them to scale sustainably without burning out through strategy, marketing systems, transformation, and obviously personal development and leadership. So if you're joining us for the very first time, you are welcome. We are super excited to have you here, and I am super excited to have you here. So you want to do one thing quickly, because we get to upload weekly videos on this channel, and all the videos we will be uploading, definitely they'll be immensely beneficial to you. So you want to do one thing right now, and that is hitting the subscribe button and notification so that you don't miss out on any videos that it's uploaded on weekly basis. So have you done that? Okay, so now you've done that, let's dive right into the conversation for today. Now, one of the mistakes a lot of people usually make in regards to content distribution system is thinking that great content automatically guarantees visibility, and that's not true. I understand what it takes to actually create content. You sitting down for hours, ideating, strategizing, and you eventually hit the publish button and already fantasizing that 100 people would see your content, 1 million people will see your content, perhaps 5 million people will see your content and share with their audience. While all of your fantasies are great, it actually does not happen that way. It doesn't happen the way you think it should happen, right? Great content does not automatically guarantee visibility. Yes, strategy can guarantee virality, but you still need a system behind it. And that is why every content system requires 2 layers for it to be distributed to the right audience. The first is the distribution system, and the second is the amplification loop. If you don't understand what a content distribution system is, it is simply a structured process of getting your content to the channels where your audience would most likely discover it, consume it, and engage with it. In simpler terms, what it simply means is getting your content from you to the right audience. And there are about 4 channels this would happen. We call it the PESO framework. By PESO, what I mean is the PESO. So we have the paid channel, we have the end channel, we have the shared channel, and we have the own channel. So these are some of the channels through which you can distribute your content and ensuring it gets to the right audience. So let's start with the first channel, which is the paid channel. So by the paid channel, this is where you invest money to get visibility, right? And when it comes to investing money to get visibility, we are looking at social media ads, Google ads, programmatic ads, sponsored ads, and many other types of ad there, because this requires you to invest your money, rent a channel to get visibility. Now for the end channel, this particular channel requires you getting visibility via conversations and community. So for somebody to share your content, for someone to give you a mention on their page, it often requires that you earn it. It don't just happen, you have to earn it. It could be as a result of past conversations, it could be as a result of past relationships, it could be as a result of the authenticity of your community. So for the end channel, we are looking at social media mentions, backlinks, tags, and many more. So sometimes when you go on social media, you see someone sharing another person's video to with their community. It means that over time they've earned it, they've worked hard for it, and as a result of that, it's easy for them to share based on that. The next channel is the shared channel. This particular channel happens mostly on social media, where people get to generate content. We call it user generate content, where users generate content themselves and share on their pages or just share it to the public. And oftentimes it's based on the outcome of your product or your service, or something that they genuinely find interesting about your brand, right? Sometimes you just see people use a particular product, or just see people randomly talking about your brand. That is what we call the shared media. And most times you see this happens as retweets. That's retweets, if I got that correctly, right? People just do that willingly on their own, right? They find something interesting about your brand and they just want to share it, or perhaps they find something interesting about your product or your service and they feel like, well, I need my audience to get to know about this. Sometimes they could just take that as a lesson, right? It could be a Monday tip for their brand, and eventually be the one they are talking about, right? And lastly, we have the owned channel. If you don't want to say owned channel, you could say the owned media. This particular channel belongs to you. It's entirely your responsibility to ensure that this channel it's up and running, and you leverage these channels to get your audience to see your content, right? Examples of the channel: we have your website, right? We have your email list, we have the mobile app. So you own this channel, so you want to make sure that it's in your responsibility to ensure that your audience get to see your content. But this is where this really gets interesting. There are actually 2 models that makes the distribution system work effectively. Number 1 is the push model, and the second is the pull model, just as the name indicates, which is the push. This model requires that you push your content across to your audience. Take for instance, I know on most occasions you have received a push notification on Netflix if you are a subscriber, an active subscriber of Netflix. Most times you've received a push notification letting you know that one of your favorite shows, they've just released the next season. It could be season 2 of the show, and you're all excited about it. The next thing you do is click on that push notification and it takes you to the movie. So what that is doing is that's a push model, right? It is pushing people to the content itself for you to go watch. Sometimes you see that on your mobile apps, you just see a notification. Sometimes you see that via email inbox. That's a push model. You see an email, right? You click on it based on, it could be just the subject title that caught your attention, and that makes you to click on it, and the next thing you're finding yourself on a different platform. So that's a push model. And the next is the pull model. So this pull model is you're pulling people to your information hub or your content hub. So that's why you see someone going to YouTube and searching for how do I fix a spoiled sink, or how do I fix a leaking sink, right? So for the pull model, it means that you invest time in creating your content hub. Your content hub could be your website, and in that website you have lots of articles on there. Or your content hub could be your YouTube channel. Take for instance, for most of you right now, you are viewing this on my YouTube channel and you are listening and enjoying the session, right? And sometimes for you to even get to this point, you must have seen my content on any of the social media platforms, or perhaps you were part of my email list. So or perhaps you're searching for something about content system and you found yourself here. So what I've done is I have pulled you to my content hub. So the content hub could be your website where you have your article. It could also be your YouTube channel. It could be other things, right? But in essence, it means that so far the person is searching for something that relates to what you have created. You are pulling them. So something is making them come to you to search for that information. And that is why SEO matters a lot when creating your content, because for you to pull people, for them to willingly search for something that matters to them and you have a solution to that thing, it means that your SEO also was in place. So that is why it is important, why you are very much concerned about ensuring your content gets to the right people. You also want to make sure that the right strategies are put in place, and SEO is one of them. One thing I particularly love about the amplification loop is how you're able to repurpose high performing content. So with the amplification loop, it allows you to identify content signal. That's, you get to identify the content that is performing well across different channels of your social media platforms, right? You identify them, you repurpose them, and then the next thing you do is to re-engage your audience with the high performing content. So there is a pattern the amplification loop follows. The first is to repurpose the content. So one long form video can be turned into different forms of content across different distribution touch points, right? And the next is what you re-engage your audience. You re-engage your audience with old content. That's, you bring old content back to life. You can do that by updating the content. You can do that by reposting the content, or even reframing high performing content. And then you do what? You engage them next, right? So this is how the amplification loop actually works. So take for instance, you have a long form content, right? That long form content could be an actual long YouTube video. Now from that long YouTube video, you can turn that long form YouTube video into 3 YouTube shorts, 1 LinkedIn carousel, 1 weekly email, free WhatsApp status posts, even Instagram captions, and then you can also go further to like create tweets or threads out of this long form video. So by this, you don't need to always think of what should I post today, what should I not post today. Some of you, you've maybe posted some content like 2 years, 3 years, or even a year ago. So what you want to do is take your time. This could just take you a few minutes. Go back to your social media platforms. Go and check your analytics. Check for those contents that are actually performing very, very well, right? Pick some of them and then repurpose some of them. If you don't have the energy to repurpose some of them, what you can simply do is repost or just update a few things and still repost and engage with your audience. Because just like we started off this session or this particular episode, we have thousands of pieces of content that is currently competing for attention. So if you don't want to just always creating fresh content all the time, use the ones you've created before, but then repurpose them and re-engage your audience with them. You get what I mean, right? Now, everything that I have covered in this particular episode, I took my time to break them down in the content system template, where I particularly created audit sessions for each of these layers. So just to be sure that you are on the right track with creating your own content system, and so you don't make mistakes. And one thing about the content system template is that your ability to get one for yourself gives you direct access to me for a few weeks, where I guide you on how to create your own content system should you be struggling with creating one, or perhaps you need someone to guide you to create one from the very scratch. Now let's look at the compound impact of everything, particularly with these layers. The first thing you enjoy is trust. The constant value sharing over time makes people trust you, right? They make people trust what you say. The next is authority. You become the go-to person in your industry. The next is demand. The right people just seek you out without you cold emailing or cold wishing anyone, or will I say code, without the code outreach method. And lastly, we have revenue and impact. Here you enjoy growth, and then you enjoy the reward for your efforts in form of monetary value, invites to opportunities, access to rooms that ordinarily you won't have access to. So you see that you gain so much when you put these two layers into your content system. And of course, every effective content system can't work effectively without the two layers I have just mentioned in this particular episode. I hope you've learned something from this particular episode. Like I mentioned earlier during the conversation, every effective content system cannot function effectively without these two layers. The first, the content distribution system, and the amplification loop. Imagine you investing your time, effort, money, creativity, creating content, and it doesn't get out there to the right people. That is exactly why you need these layers. And if you're still struggling, particularly even with the foundation, that's struggling with the foundation, the content engine, up until this point, you need the content system template. I have made everything easy. A step-by-step way for you to get your own content system up and running, whether you are a team, whether you're a founder, a business owner, or even a professional. The template is actually reusable. So you want to quickly get the link from my description to get a copy for yourself. In the next episode, we'll be concluding how to build a content system from the very scratch, where we're looking at systems and execution, and likewise some of the tools you can use to make sure the content system works effectively. So you don't want to miss out on the next episode for this particular series. Bye.